Greetings, friends, and welcome today to another one of Doc Bird's coming to you from the world headquarters of Doc Bird Positive Change. Another positive message. And as many of you know that have heard me speak throughout the country, I've done over 100 conferences in several hundred school districts throughout the nation to speak to folks. You know that I've written a book titled It's Not a Crisis, It's an Inconvenience. And it's really about distinguishing between what's a real crisis in this world and what is just a mere inconvenience. And right now, this pandemic is a true crisis. And there's a tremendous amount of suffering and dying, and it is a true crisis. There are people out there that can't feed themselves, and it's a very difficult time. However, and we do hope that it's going to end very soon. But we also know that for many people, they have some of their basic needs met, and it's going to be more of an inconvenience because we know that they're going to be able to come back. Many of you know that every time I speak to groups, I'm constantly referencing Viktor Frankl, who was an Auschwitz survivor, and he often referenced humor as one of the things that allowed people to be able to survive. And he said that humor was another of the soul's weapons in the fight for self-preservation. And he also said, it is well known that humor, more than anything else in the human makeup, can afford an ability to rise above any situation, even if only for a few seconds. And that's such a powerful statement about how we keep things in consideration of what really is a crisis and what's not a crisis, and how we can laugh at ourselves when sometimes we are just inconvenienced. So for today, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to bring you some tools that you can work with to, if it's only an inconvenience, we can live with this in our everyday life. So the big issues out there right now are number one, hygiene, touching things and making sure that you don't touch your face. So along the lines of hand covering and face coverings that we have out there. And then number two, the most important issue out there is social distancing, and how is it that we're going to be able to identify those who are not social distancing or just not following, our social guidelines. They're violating the norms of those. So first and foremost, I know for me, when I go out to stores, I find it difficult to touch things, and being a short person, I can't always reach everything on the shelves. So that's why I bring with me my Pointer 3000. That's right, folks. When I walk down the aisle of the store, I just reach up and I knock things into the cart with my pointer. Now, I know that a lot of you guys out there, you've been cooped up in your garages, and I know that you maybe even trying to get away from the family, and you're knocking back a few. Maybe you've taken some fingers off with the bandsaw because you've been bored and you're trying to fix something out there. And for all of you guys, I've got the manly version of the Pointer 3000. That's right, for those of you that have been careless during this time. So when it comes to touching, that's very important. But also now, you might see people that are violating those norms, and you need to express your rage, but use your nonverbals so that you don't get close. I've got an answer for that too. My portable fist of rage. That's right. You see somebody coming, you shake this at them. Now, a lot of people have said, Dr. Bird, gosh, that's a little macho, that's a little manly, taking, the man, and that's okay. So for all of the my female friends out there, I have created the new ladies edition of the portable fist of rage. This is the one my wife wears around the house, and she said, get that dishes done. And it's a very convenient thing to have. So between these two, we can non-verbally express ourselves to those people that are violating the social norms out there. Now, the second issue has to do with covering our faces. This is critical when we go out there. And of course, many of us have masks that we can put over our face. And then also, like for me, I work in my garage with my lathe, and I do have a face shield already, and I can use my face shield. However, not everybody has that. So here's what you got to do, is you got to be creative. You got to look around the house. Maybe you find your kids' stuff that's in closets and things like that. So for me, this is something that I take to the store. Luke, use the Force. Stay 10 feet away from me, Luke. Now, if that's a little too flashy, or maybe a little bit more burdensome, there's one of the things that I love to take out there with me when I go to the stores, is that if people think you're crazy, they keep their distance. It's just an amazing thing. I love this. So I tend, sometimes, so when I'm out in the store, I like to keep the face covered, but I let people know that I might just be a little bit off. Now, when people see me coming, they automatically keep their distance. And actually, you probably don't even need the mouth covering, because people will keep at least 10, 12 feet away when they see you coming. Last but not least, maybe one of the most important issues is, people said to me, Dr. Bird, how do we identify those people who are violating social norms? Yes, we're going to need to identify them. And if you look at Oxford's dictionary under stupid person, what you see is the word jackass. We have to identify the jackasses in America. You look under Oxford Dictionary, it says jackass is a stupid person, or number 2, a male donkey. It's a very respectable word to differentiate those people who are violating those social norms. And are we going to be able to have some way that when you're walking down the street, you're going to see that person coming? There's not going to be any guesswork. So I think we're going to need to produce about 50 million, maybe less. I don't know what the real number is for how many jackasses might be violating our social norms. But I figure if we produce about 50 million of these, you see, if we could immediately look down the sidewalk or in the supermarket aisle and we say, hey, here comes a jackass, I'll keep my distance. And some people might just say, Dr. Bird, that might be a little bit too much. And some people are just going to refuse to wear their jackasses. So we know who those people are. They're very narcissistic. So we just let them know, that's okay. You're special. You're special. You don't have to follow social norms like everybody else. So what do we get for those folks? That's simple too. That's right. We're going to be able to identify them as special. They won't get it anyway. They're narcissistic. They're going to love this outfit. See them walking around the neighborhood, keep my distance, keep my distance. And then, of course, you might have that one person who thinks that they're even more special than everybody else. They're violating every rule out there. Well, I've got an answer for that too. Yes, sirree, because this converts. It's an amazing thing. And that person will be designated as damn special. And then that way it'll keep us all much, much safer. And there you have it. A number of tools you can take with you today. And it'll help you in the midst of all of this to actually have a little bit of fun. Just get creative. Look around the house. We're in the middle of something that's more serious than most of us will ever experience in our lifetime. But I do think that having some sense of humor, taking a step back, eliminating some of the rage. There's no need for us to get crazy with each other, but rather just all of us to be able to work together. And one of my other favorite quotes is from Victor Borg, who many of you know. He played the piano. He was a comedian, and he was hilarious. But he said that laughter is the shortest distance between two people. Isn't that nice? And so for those of us who are maybe not as inconvenienced on such dire circumstances that it's going to be life-threatening, sometimes we just got to take a step back, have a little fun, and roll with it. And so I just want to say best wishes to everyone.